This is a meeting of the Rules Committee of the Representative Town Meeting. And first item of business is approving the minutes of September 9. Can I have a motion to approve? Okay, Joe, second. Thank you, Patty. Comments, changes, questions? Hearing none. Ready to vote? All in favor of approving the minutes of September 9? Okay. Opposed? I see none. Unanimous. Next item is a report from the Technology Committee by phone. Speaking on behalf of the Technology Committee.
Is somebody doing notes?
Yes,
Doing the notes
yes,
for
Michael has
Okay, thank
volunteered.
you.
Thank you, Patty.
That's what I might be a little
Is this
distracted.
being picked up
I've not done
here on
this before.
That's all right. Speaking on behalf of the Technology Committee, Lois Schneider.
Hi, everybody. Okay, sound good? You're good?
As good as it's going to get.
Okay, well, as everyone knows, the new equipment's in the auditorium. There were two things. The Great Island Committee used it on the Saturday before our RTM meeting. They used the handheld mics, and that seemed to go really well. They also used the video equipment, which we did not use, and that seemed to go well, and they could look at the TV that was up where the clock was, so they didn't have to turn their heads to see what was on the screen, besides using their computer. So that seemed to go real well, and they used the handheld mics for questions in the of the audience. So that went well. For when we used it, it seemed to go well. There's some training that we need to do for speakers and where to stand and how to make it work. And also Jim Cameron has volunteered to create a tutorial for how to use the mics and where to stand and what works, what makes our voices more effective when we're giving a presentation. So we can thank him and expect that in the future. The third thing is more of the to-do list, in that it's clear to us that besides Mike, myself, and Jim Cameron and whoever else knows a little bit, supporting the equipment, that it's essential that somebody or some way that the town creates some people responsible for handling problems or things that come up. And towards that end, we'll be drafting something for Seth to send to the town to say, hey, this new equipment requires somebody to be knowledgeable and available when we have meetings. Whether that person is part of the
You gotta
IT
have one door
department,
open.
or
I'm sorry.
Hold on, Lois, hold on.
Yeah, I have to have one
Just
door
a
open.
little bit, just a
Perfect.
crack.
Is that good?
That's perfect.
Sorry, not great.
I'm sorry, we just had to make sure we had a door open.
okay, and so whether the person is part of the IT department or hired from outside, be it a tech person or be it through TV 79 or whatever, that's for the town to solve. But the equipment requires, a little more expertise or responsibility than we had previously had to deal with. So that's where we are. If anyone has any comments or questions, Mike and I will be glad to hear them or answer them.
Well, I liked having the speaker in front of me from time to time, so that I could kind of cut things short, and so that's a positive. And they work great. I thought the sound was much better. Anybody else have any?
It just was a little surprising when you got up there and started to say something that kind of made you pop back, so I'll be glad to see the tutorial. Thank you very much.
Well, we found that moving your head at all would make it wow.
Was that it? Okay, all right then.
Yeah.
It
Took a
really
while, a
did.
little observation and what was.
Also, Adele, that somebody suggested that anybody that's speaking before the meeting, 5 or 10 minutes before the meeting starts, test out the system till we all become comfortable with where we need to stand and how it works. So we're going to do that for any meeting coming up.
Thank you.
Great.
You are not alone.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure you might have gotten a comment or two. It's great though. It's such an improvement over what we had.
Absolutely.
Anything else, Lois?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Next item was an update on Great Island, but Mark Adeletta's not here. I did go to the gathering that they had in Town Hall here, what was it, Saturday, 2 weeks ago, a week or so ago. And it was really nice. You got to see visually some of the thinking as it stands now as to what they're doing. The only comment I had to the lady who was I would call heading up the group that they've hired from the outside, the consultants, was just to remember that Great Island is a resource of the town, and it has to fit in with what the town already has. So you're going to have to, as you're developing this plan, also take into consideration what already exists in the town itself that's functioning. And I wasn't sure that, I don't know, I wasn't sure that was, people were thinking that way, so I went ahead and tossed a cannonball on the deck, and
I watched that
That's it.
from Channel 79. You did cannonball it.
What was the
But it was good,
cannonball?
but it was good, I heard it was good. Somebody who attended that I might be related to said that you made that comment. And
might
that was an excellent comment.
And so I had said
I
that.
think you're gonna have to say what it was,
Explain what
since
you're
not everybody
oh,
watched it.
excuse me.
You don't
Well,
watch it, you miss it.
I know what a cannonball is.
No, but there were two meetings, one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
Right.
We went to the afternoon one.
Okay, and it was, I guess, a little different. I understood that the afternoon one included a walk of some distance, and I thought about that for about a half a millisecond, but said, well, I might forego that and just do the one in the morning. And the one in the morning had some maps of different areas on Great Island and, what the anticipated, some of the anticipated things they were thinking about. Obviously, it's very early, but so when I saw all of this, I just wanted to make sure that these advisors understood that we have an existing infrastructure in the town itself, and that anything that they were planning to do on Great Island should fit in with what we already have. It also would have an effect, just personally speaking, it would have something to do with the costs. You don't want to be duplicating something you already have. So that's what I was talking about. Does that make sense?
And then to that point, in the beginning, well, fairly far into the survey, they do ask, what other parks and beaches do you go to? They started with open-ended questions on the survey, which I thought was odd. I thought you do usually multiple choice first and then the open-ended, but either way they did that. But I appreciated that they were inquiring, that's going to be a good, if we can get a statistical number, we need a lot more than 300 people to respond, but if we can get a good amount of people to respond, then they'll be able to see where people are spending the most time, and to your point, maybe not duplicate the things that are already on that particular part.
Or make sure you have an inventory of what's already there.
Yeah,
Those meetings
if I
were the
might add
21st
to
or the
something.
28th?
One sec, what?
Those meetings were the 21st or the 28th? Was it last Saturday or the
21st.
21st, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
We have Michael, Michael's doing the duty today. Yeah, Jack? Yeah.
all right, starting last year, when we were talking about certain things, specifically with capital, one of the comments that was coming from F&B was the term dueling banjos. And dueling banjos is basically, we have projects that come forward, and like the dueling banjos, whoever plays first and plays the loudest gets the money, but that may not be where the strategic approach should be for the town. And so one of the things that we mentioned, and it was at a Board of Finance meeting, is that this town doesn't have a full inventory of all open space. And we act within silos. So it should be the open space controlled by the Board of Selectmen, by the Park and Rec, by the Board of Education, and then what we have, at least right now, for Great Island, not knowing what the governance of that's going to be. But it should go down and take a full inventory of how many walking paths do we have, how many ADA compliant, whether or not they're tended to be bicycle. I mean, a real full inventory, so that when things come up, and this is partially going to happen when we get to Weed Beach, I don't know how that fits into the overall strategy of everything we have in town and where we're going. So it's not a question of what you're doing at Weed Beach, it's that, how does this fit in? And then, what's the character that you want at all these things? What is Selleck Park supposed to be? What is Woodland Park supposed to be? What's the difference between Weed Beach and Pear Tree? I always said that one was Disney World and the other was Ride Playland, but it had to be repaired anyway. So, I mean, we don't have that. And it's not the Park and Rec strategy, it's not any of those things. It's a full inventory. And then tell me what your character is, and then tell me what the strategies are. Because with limited resources, because we have more school work that's going to have to be done, we have other sewer work, we have drainage, we have all this other stuff, that allows us to determine where we're allocating our capital. And the capital might be all in Park and Rec one year, it may be all in Public Works one year, but without having a full understanding of how our open spaces are and what the strategy is and what our inventory is, this is a dueling banjo. I'm coming with the first thing, but the next one comes over here, and somebody's getting the money because they came first and they played louder. And that's not how we should be doing our strategy.
Yeah.
Seth?
Okay, 1 second, I've got Bill here and then I'll get you.
What was the cannonball a particular thing you said? I mean,
Well, I just said,
Basically what I said.
yeah, just say,
Oh, wasn't that one thing was an example?
No.
no, I just
He
said,
started
look,
fire.
this has all got
You
a,
just said the money, I think, was.
I think that,
You're like, don't forget us, we're in
I'm
charge of money.
irrepressible, but
I think he
too many
basically
years.
said,
Yeah.
you're looking at Great Island without knowing what the other assets in town are.
Right.
And therefore, what you could be doing over here, we may have 10 of them over here, and I don't know that we need to do an 11th over there.
I agree.
And that's what I think his basic point was.
Okay, Susan.
So I want to go on record, I'm agreeing with Jack Davis.
Oh,
So
wait, my meeting's over.
I'm most of what he said.
No, we have
I actually have said exactly what Jack was saying to many of the Great Island committee members, as well as at the end of my survey, I said it's critical that the consultants do an overall, know exactly what we have, because something may be somewhere that makes sense to move it somewhere else. I'm not saying what that could or couldn't be, but that, so I totally agree with that. But I guess because our RTM meeting is after the close of the survey, if anyone is watching us tonight, I encourage every single person in town to fill out the survey. Because the more people that fill it out, the more information that they will have.
Where does one get the survey?
So there's a lot of links to it on the on the town website.
Okay.
Yep, town website, the first page under news, it's one of the news stories and the link is in there.
Thank you.
And you go in under GIAC,
Make it
Great Island Advisory Committee, and then they also will link to all of the meetings, not just the survey, but the slides that you all saw that had all the background information, the historical information as well. And then it went out through the John's newsletter as well.
Yeah, and also they have gotten, the last meeting at least for Great Island, they did have public comment. It's the first time that they did. And there was quite a bit of public comment, and I did make public comment. I was the only one in the room that was encouraging them to figure out a way to get cars and some parking on the island, because not everybody can walk either from Pear Tree or from wherever. So I know that things are a little bit delayed as far as the access road, but I think that I would encourage anyone also, whatever your opinion is, you are welcome to speak at public comment. Even if you're the only one in the room that is saying the opposite of what everyone else is.
Krista, didn't you send out the link for the survey? I thought you did. No?
No, I had sent out the information session
Just for the
two
sessions.
information sessions, not the
Okay.
link. I can send out the link.
That would be great. We did
To all
that
the
at
RTM
District
would be
1.
wonderful.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, Adele sent it to our committee, which was excellent, and then Jenny Schwartz, who's our district chair, sent it to our District 1, so we Our goal is to get it out.
Who was it?
Not about- not
Somebody
about-
sent me one.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
it
easy.
closes the 15th,
It
so we're
closes
getting there.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Anybody else
Max
on
is it?
Yes, sir.
rules? Okay, go.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the comment, because I attended the morning session with my wife, and we looked around, the boards were really informative. But one thing a lot of the boards had, it was titled, they were calling Great Island a park. And you gotta be really careful with that, because it's not a park, nor is Highland Farms a park. And if you start calling it a park, and it becomes a park, then the town is kind of, their hands are tied with 50 years from now, if they want to do something else with some of the land. So that's, we gotta be careful with that.
You
have to
might get
replace it
dedicated
with
if you keep calling it a
that's-
park.
Exactly.
Well, it's not going to, but so,
No, but
for the audience that's listening, if you change a park and use it for another purpose, you have to replace that land with an equal amount. So if it's 60 acres, I don't know where we're finding 60 acres to replace in this town.
That's the idea. That's why it's dedicated for that.
I don't think it's going
So
down
there you
that
go,
alley.
No.
exactly.
Okay,
I don't think
any,
so.
folks, anything else on Great Island? Okay. New member, District 2.
New member of what District 2?
Well, District 2 last day, we had a new member in District 2 to go to a committee.
Michael's in district.
I'm not aware of that. Mike Wheeler?
She has an interest in F&B and in Board of Education. She has she's on the board of the library in a finance capacity.
So we've lost one F&B member, so it might make sense to put her on F&B if Jack feels that this person is the right replacement.
I trust both of your judgment.
So Jack, Jack foolishly made a statement just now.
So probably one meeting will be all that this
And
person
she
attends.
has
No,
to get-
possibly
she has to get
two.
25 votes on November 5th.
Oh.
To keep her spot.
Okay.
All right.
So let's assign her to F&B.
Did they just caucus, did they caucus her in?
Yes.
And then she'll still have to get the 25?
Yes, we did caucus her in.
And
I
what's
was
her
not there.
name? So we know?
Name, yeah.
Pardon?
But she is then.
Mike, what is her name?
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know so I can put it in the minutes.
Susan, you know her.
I mean, we should know the name if we're gonna formally
Yeah,
list
we're
her
gonna-
right
No, I
now to put her on a
actually-
committee.
I can
I
try to look
actually
it up.
had heard the name,
Yes.
so I knew the person. So I already knew what her interest is, and since she's replacing Malin, that's fine.
Great, but I
We
want
do
to
need
vote,
her
I
name
want
is
to
Karen
vote on
Knapp.
her name.
That's in
K-N-A-P-P,
Karen Knapp. I
Karen.
knew it started with a K.
I knew the last name, I just couldn't remember the first name off the top of my head.
What is the name?
Karen
Now.
Knapp.
Karen now.
Karen
Knapp.
Knapp, K-N-A.
K-N-A-P-P.
Can you, Krista, provide me with her contact info?
I'm sure Mike has that, but
Just- yeah, if you
if I
can.
still, I have it.
All right,
Oh, it's actually
so
on the website.
can I
she's already
have
on
a
the website.
motion to assign Karen Knapp, District 2, to the Finance and Budget Committee? Thank you, Frank. Second? Thank you, Patty.
Okay, you guys are going too fast for me.
Okay,
All
so
right,
Frank moved the
Karen
motion.
Knapp, we
Patty
got a
seconded.
motion from Frank, second from Patty, to put Karen Knapp on the Finance and Budget Committee. She's a new member in the RTM, and we have to assign her to a committee. The Rules Committee does that.
Not as fast as Mark.
No, and I appreciate the,
Few are. Really.
Okay, thanks.
great, so we have a motion, we have a second. Ready to vote, all those in favor? Okay, opposed, I see none. Abstentions, I see none. Unanimous. Next is the town plan of development, just to have a committee, and I think, was it PC, planning and zoning,
I
said that
think
they
we
were
already-
already
yeah.
engaged.
Right, but I
So
think
that's
we already
good.
assigned them because they're the ones who will be reporting on it.
Yeah, but I just put it on there to remind us all it's moving and that we do have a committee engaged with them, which is good. It sounds like it's not a big deal, but it is. Okay, next item is just procedure in the event the town budget is not approved. I talked to town council, he said he's working on it, so that's good.
Can I add, because I had a conversation with Jay-Z. We were looking to do this during the summer, and I was requested, once Kate made her announcement, that there were other things that the town had to clear up with that. So I've had a subsequent conversation with Jen, and I had previously spoken to both of them, because our approach is going to be, let's go and sit down with town administrator, director of finance, see what they're proposing, and then go from there. But in conversation, we don't want this to be guidance. This is going to have to be an ordinance so that it's clear of what's going on. So we will get to it once we have the other things, and Jen also is a firm believer that we need to get this done. So we will work with her and Jay-Z to get it done. Because it's a budget item, we're going to need to prepare all this, show it to the Board of Selectmen, and then have the Board of Selectmen request that we have an ordinance for it, because the RTM cannot provide an ordinance for budget without the authority and request from the Board of Selectmen according to charter.
And it falls under Appendix B, which are the rules of procedure of the representative town meeting.
Well, no, it's more of the town, so it's not Appendix B.
That's part of it.
But we'll take care of it. It will not appear in Appendix B, I promise you.
So let me just capture what I think I heard you said, make sure I put it right properly in the minutes, is that Mr. Morton opened a discussion about when Rules Committee should engage in a discussion, I'll change that, about what happens if the RTM does not approve a town budget. Mr. Davis reported this would be reviewed in January or February 2025.
It will be reviewed when Jay-Z said I can access his resources.
It'll be
Well, in the
reviewed.
future, just put it in the future.
Yeah, in the
Future,
That's not to say we're not going to do certain work that I'm
in
not
conjunction
saying
with the
on
first
camera.
selectman's office.
But, yeah, we have to go through it, but we have a rough idea of what we're going to do.
Thank you.
And it's
And then it goes to Frank for ordinance.
Yeah.
And I agree that Appendix B is operation of the Rules Committee of RTM.
Yeah,
And
not
this
the
is
town.
larger than that, so it's going to be up in the charter. Or Wayne will advise us what we may open a new section in the code.
All right,
So
well, it has been an open issue that needs to get resolved, because it's sitting there, it's always been there. I've never, well, I can think once in 30 odd years that I've seen it be close to being an issue, but it's something we need to, a door we need to get closed. Yes,
Just wanted
Kristen
to
German.
just clarify for a question. So has this item then been assigned to F and B when appropriate to proceed with questions or study?
It has already been assigned to Frank and myself, to
TGSNA
and F&B.
Okay, and so your committees are meeting on it?
No, because there's nobody to
Okay.
meet on with it. We know, we all thought that everything reverted back to the prior year's
Right,
budget.
yeah, exactly.
So that was a wives' tale. It doesn't
Well, I understand the
exist.
concept, I'm just
So-
wondering going forward, how would people
is the
follow
process?
this story? How would people follow this process?
The
Where
process
would they,
is-
what meetings would they be following? So both of you.
There's going to be, this isn't going to be public meetings on this. This is first sitting down with two people to say, okay, here's what we
makes
think.
sense.
What do
Then
you
it's
think?
not, then it's not assigned to your committee.
Yeah, it is,
Then that's
because
not
then
right.
we bring it back to discuss it in the committee, but we have to do the groundwork first, rather than having 10 opinions. This is really going to be driven by a town administrator and a director of finance, because it's their budgets essentially, the director of finances. So between the Board of Finance, then when we have the rough ideas of what's going on that will be discussed. Frank's committee only gets involved once we get to an ordinance stage. Then we're going to go and meet with the Board of Finance, the Board of Ed, and the other committees to say, here's what we're thinking are the changes. And then we'll
And
come
this
to
is,
discuss.
this is part of the rules policy of putting committees onto things that we see coming down the track that we're going to be involved in.
Right, but
To
there's a
have
lot
them
of
monitoring and dialoguing ahead of time so that you don't get to the end game and there's a whole bunch of questions outstanding. That the committees from the RTM are actively working with these major issues. So that when they finally they're fully vetted by the time they get to being voted on. Eventually, it comes here as an ordinance and it gets put on the RTM agenda and gets voted. So that's what we're doing.
With the support
other
of all
que-
those groups that I just mentioned.
Yeah. Question, any other question or thought?
Okay, so this is something that the public would see on an F&B agenda when it's ready?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be on the rules committee.
No, I
just-
actually-
It'll be on the rules committee agenda just to keep track of where we are at the point in time. And then eventually, we'll start getting reports back from the committees. Yeah, we're engaged, we had a meeting, we're not there yet. Okay, and then an item with a little more time in it, Appendix B, the rewriting of the rules of the roles of different committees and all that.
I had a preliminary meeting. We're going to start in the month of October and November, starting to meet with some of the parties that provided input to start to go and say, here it is. But one of the things that was mentioned by Beth Pope, and when she said it, I said, oh shoot, you're right, is that when Beth looks at a contract, or when I've looked at contracts, we have the existing verbiage here, and then we have the new clause here, and if a section is deleted, on the right-hand side you said delete, or you see the other document here. So you can track what was here, what's there, what's new, and going forward. So Frank has put that into a document, and so now we're going to be going out and meeting individually with people to address their concerns, and then we will have a new document with which we can distribute and hear all the new concerns.
The fact that people have, and a little bit of the frustration was we were ready to go, and then the week before we got, there were a bunch of comments from RTM members, and we really didn't have the time to go through the details. But the types of comments were more for, maybe the language should be clearer. It's not that it was wrong, or we're barking the wrong tree, but the fact that there were questions meant that some of the phrasing could be improved.
And there's certain sections. Look, the goal is that they hadn't dealt with this for 40 years. The goal is that at least for another 20 years we get this right. So it's not that like you're putting something out there and we can do phase 2 next week. So some of the comments that when you read them, you said, yes, we can write this better. Or yes, something in this area should be included, and it's not. So that's what we're going back to go and do. So, you know, I'm sorry, life happened during the summer, and I guess we could have moved forward with it, but we
The
didn't.
underwriting, the underpinning of the project was accompanied by what used to be called the matrix. It is now called the scope, that each committee, to empowering the different committees to have responsibility for parts of the government, parts of the town, and in effect, at looking at the committee's responsibilities have been amped up. And so this would be to the satisfaction of the committee chairs and members serving on the committee. The matrix, now called the scope segment, for each committee stands. There may be As new things happen in town, like Great Island was not on that statement. So it needs to be. There we are. The type of questions that we're getting was really for clarification of what was going on. And I think everybody will be pleased with it when they try to see what they're doing.
I can say, and maybe Mac and Adele can comment. I know when I did the matrix, all of a sudden we realized that F&B was the only group that was really responsible for the library budget. Didn't fit into anybody else's committee. So, you know, we had been doing it all this time in conjunction with Board of Finance in a joint effort, but it just clarified that. And if I'm not mistaken, you know, Adele, you've looked at it and people have gone to look at some of these team groups and everything, and that you now follow in your committee. I think, Mac, you do the same. So,
Coastal waters.
yeah. So if nothing else, that has been helpful. I think Amy's done the same, and you know, I can't speak for others, but Public Works was already doing a lot of this in how they approached it by assigning people to various groups. So if nothing else, it encourages involvement, and if somebody likes, like Coastal Waters, and they're on Park and Rec, and that's what they want to follow, doesn't say that you have jurisdiction over it, but follow and give reports and that, then that encourages involvement in the various town bodies that exist. And that's part of the other reason for it.
Yep. So that continues, and I thought we heard last meeting that this was a January.
Did I give what year?
Yeah.
As soon as
I'm
possible.
putting this on every agenda, guys.
I know.
I didn't hear a positive response on that.
I put it in the coming months.
Sounds like your goal. But
I put it in the coming months in the minutes.
All right,
That's a goal.
I'll go with that. I may have made a statement that I regret, but anyway.
Won't be the first time, won't be the last.
Exactly. Okay, good. Then the next one is codifying the where writing in fits in the whole stream of getting onto the ballot, and getting that codified, because it's just not awfully clear at the present time how it all is supposed to work, what the timing is. So I put that on there just as an item to get, hello Frank, to get done.
Can I ask?
And the person, you've been dealing a lot with it, because at least of trying to figure out what's going on the ballot and what isn't.
So it's October, was it October 18th?
Well, two things. It's 17.
Okay.
It's not addressed in Appendix B. I think that's probably where it would be addressed.
Okay.
Right now, the state changes to the day before early voting. And is that something that the RTM agrees with, or would the RTM like to keep it the day before Election Day?
But throughout our town, there's many state requirements that we do not codify because the state already has.
Correct.
So you can assign it to Frank, and Frank can come back with his committee.
Krista, in
and
your
say,
discussions with Wayne, has Wayne opined as to whether we ought to go up against the state in this matter?
I wouldn't call it going up against the state.
The state has established a standard, and we would be setting a standard that is contrary to what the state has set.
Because we're a charter town. Exactly.
So,
Like we have an
things are all
RTM.
back to Wayne
The
as to whether
RTM.
we can do this or not.
Right, that's why I brought it forth, to be assigned to TGS&A to look into the issue, to speak with Wayne, with your committee, to see if this is something that the RTM would like to propose and vote on.
My impression that you were working with Wayne on that.
No, I don't assign,
You
that's this body's.
brought it to this table.
I brought it to the
At the
moderator.
last meeting, we checked the minutes.
I brought it to the
It was not
moderator.
assigned- It was not assigned for rules consideration. It was a topic you brought up,
Yes,
and you were going to follow it up with Wayne.
So maybe we
No, it
should.
should be,
What,
No,
no,
I
we
think,
talked about whether or not we were going to
I
do
mean, if it comes
this.
to pass, TGA is gonna do it.
Yeah.
In terms of the deadlines, we all agreed at the last meeting that it was unlikely that the legislation would be drafted and approved by town council, that we can enact as we said, there's something that the state has said you should do this, and we're saying, charter company, we're going to do that. So we really want to be careful that, again, before we get involved in this, that this is an approved.
well, that's why it would be assigned to TGSNA, as I brought forth to the moderator, to investigate with town council and committee members what the committee and town council's opinion is of this, and bring it forth with their opinion to the body to see what the body feels.
Because
That's
it's not,
just
because
a vote.
Wayne doesn't decide it, he
Pardon me?
opines on it.
And
Correct.
because of the
Correct.
timing involved,
Correct.
it would be something that would be appropriate to next year.
Well, that's what we
That's
agreed
what we
at the
voted
last
on.
meeting.
Yeah,
Right,
no, that's-
right, this is
So,
not,
I'm just putting it
but
on
the
as,
way.
Yeah.
Not something for next week.
Right.
No,
Well,
no.
given the scope of some of these, I thought, I'll get it in now, and maybe it'll be ready for next October.
This is because you don't have enough to do, Frank.
yeah, right.
So maybe we should
Well, we
assign,
knew you really
No, we
wanted to
are.
get,
We are, that's what I'm hearing.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
But
we wanna
without,
assign
with it
teachers
not
and-
being due for
Right,
for a while.
we're not piling on,
no,
we're just,
but they
you
need
know.
to start on it.
Yes.
Right,
That they should look and opine on it and come back and report to rules where the committee
Yeah.
wants it to be. And if it moves forward, to then opine to whether or not it's brought forward to the full RTM.
Well,
well, the rules committee would make that decision, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but it has to start, I mean, it hasn't
that,
started
that's
yet.
where the start is.
So it has
That's
to
where we
start. in
So the first
TGS.
thing is that I guess I would take a motion to have TGSNA work with town council to determine whether this is something we can do or not do, right?
So
Yeah,
I make
and
that-
look
I'll
at the
make
pros
that
and
motion.
cons.
Okay.
I make the motion that rules is assigning to TGSNA to look into, I don't exactly know how to word it, Michael, sorry. What did we say
You
here?
got a source.
To
here,
codify the
To
write-in
codify
calendar
charter write-in
window for
calendar window.
RTM.
All right. Do we have a second?
Susan, could you just repeat them?
Frank has a second. There we go.
This is copied what was on the
To
agenda.
codify
Yeah,
the
just
right
copy on
in,
it.
yeah.
I'll get to it.
Just-
Got it. Simple as that. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And add at the end the RTM, because it's not, you don't write in for any other
Okay.
real, kind of, I guess you can,
Okay.
but good luck at doing it.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Moved, seconded, and has been
That
voted.
moved by Susan, seconded by Frank.
I got it.
All right.
So we're
Next
voting
step.
on it?
So we have to vote.
So-
All in favor? Yeah. All in favor? Unanimous? I see no no's, I see no abstentions. Motion passes. I was asked to put the fire tanker truck on, I think by Kate before she left. It's, as I understand it, wouldn't be ready, they would like to get it done, but looks like they won't be ready to talk about it until after our next meeting here in October, so it may be ready, and you'll notice in the draft, I put it on the annual meeting. We can pull it, or we can not vote it on if you think it's too early, but at least I wanted to put it on the table because it was brought to me by...
I will remind everyone here that every committee or district is still in effect until their replacement is assigned.
Right.
We have in November already approved a fire engine, we've approved things for the school and for the town. So Mac and I talked about it. Well, I'll be in touch with Jen to see where it stands. And that's why I said there might be actually 2 meetings, because we might have to have a joint meeting sometime in late October and November in order to have it in one of our November meetings so we can report and get that moving so they can have the price.
Okay.
So to assign it, I am suggesting that F&B is primary because we're going to bond it, if we are doing it, and public health and safety is secondary.
Big night, Mac.
Yep. Happy to be here.
Can you just give me that again? I was still typing the last one, I'm sorry.
All right, that F&B primary because it's bonding, we bond fire engines, and public health and safety secondary. And either way, that's going to continue regardless of when it comes up. If it's in November, December, or January, those are still going to be the two committees. And Mac and I will arrange a virtual joint meeting on that.
Okay, so can I have a motion to assign?
I just did.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Patty. Oops, we lost a vote here.
No, right behind you.
Oh,
It's right
okay.
behind you.
Well,
No,
Susan stepped out, but we can
Susan
still
stepped out.
vote with, it doesn't matter, we just vote
Mm,
with one
Here she
less.
is.
Right. Ah, there we are.
Oh, no,
We're gonna
Just
vote,
vote.
Susan, we're gonna vote.
All those in favor, please. Good. I see no
So
no's, I see
Just
no
make a motion,
abstentions.
note that Susan had stepped out, so not
Yeah,
voting.
it's unanimous of the people in the room.
right.
We can
Aren't the
bring her
folks
back
on the
in.
phones voted?
No.
No, not allowed. Had to go to town council for that one too.
I thought we were. 'Cause
We
been-
No.
used to,
Yeah, we were told that.
I know that, but
we did.
it came up in a different meeting and I had to go back
Okay,
to town
thank you.
council.
I better tell everybody else that.
I went back to town council, got a reading again from him today. I said, look, I'm getting, two different opinions here. Are we allowed to have people on the phone vote or not? And he said, no, you cannot. That's not.
What was that
it doesn't
based on when we have been doing it for 2 years?
You know,
Well,
we,
there's been
Or-
some
or-
changes to the virtual
Well, I've
meeting,
gotten-
perhaps, or we were doing it
Well,
wrong.
that's,
In either case,
yes,
we're
sir,
not doing it forward.
right.
So, and it's different from a virtual meeting that you're doing because everybody's on screen.
I understand,
sometimes.
but
Well, if not,
Did
then
he
you
give
can't have
any-
their vote.
Oh, no,
data
well, it's
points
very
as to
straight in
why?
Appendix B. It says if you're not in the room, you can't vote.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, but that was never mind.
All right, can we move
Except that
forward?
it was-
Can we move forward because there's a game going
I'm
on?
certainly ready to move forward, Mr.
They just voted.
Davis, with pleasure. Next item is acceptance of a van donation from At Home in Darien, to Darien. And
I move
that
that,
was what, PH&S and F&B?
yep, PHS is primary.
Right. Okay, I have a motion to assign those committees.
I make that
Thank
motion.
you, Jack. Second, please. Susan, great. Discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay. Opposed? See none. Abstentions, I see none. Carries unanimously.
On
Next is,
On these two, the Board of Selectmen had both of these combined into a single.
yeah, I know, but they're different departments with different amounts of money.
No, they're doing it as one whole thing, and when you hear what, I spoke to Jen about this, and so I think we can put them both in the same area because the facilities coordinator in the police department and the facilities maintenance mechanic in public works is really going to be they're part of the police department. That's where it's going. And you
Okay.
and the primary. So I was just part of the reason I was late. I was listening to Ed give his presentation on this. So for everyone, for a little bit of background, the police department has had a problem with it since it's been built. There's a lot of problems. Last March, outside of the budget cycle, about 7 or 8 police department capital projects came up that, or maybe it was in April for that matter, that came up that had to be paid for out of the Board of, the contingency in the capital account. And so John Zabrowski said there had to be a better way, and initially assigned it to Public Works. But with everything going on in Public Works, as well as the fact that Great Island has been added to it, and there's things that will be growing there, they've been meeting with some guidance from John, as well as Ed and the police department, that this is really a Public Works initiative, all right? Because we're asking professional police officers to have facilities expertise, which they do not, nor should they, and taking away from them doing police work. So the primary on this should be Public Works, because that's where it's coming from.
Yeah. And then public-
PHS secondary, and F&B secondary as well. So the motion would be to make Public Works primary, PHS secondary, and F&B secondary on this. But we should just combine the two of them and speak to both of them at the same time.
Okay, I'll check with town council as far as getting the resolution and doing it that way. So can I have a motion, then we'll combine these two and assign Public Works primary, Public Health and Safety, and F&B secondary. Can I have a motion, please? Jack, second? Patty? Great. Further discussion? All in favor? Okay. Unanimous?
As you're voting on an
Yes.
appropriation, there's no reason to separate them. That's what you're voting on. It's just
Yeah, we're at total
appropriation. Right,
appropriation
the total
coming
appropriation.
out of the general fund for this year,
Right.
and understanding that there's an addition to the overall budget. But I would also suggest, and this is something, if I can get the timing on it, Ed Gentile started at 7:12, thereabouts, at the Board of Selectmen meeting, and his discussion is very worthwhile for people to hear. That does a great understanding. So if we can get it and send it out to the RTM beforehand, it would be worthwhile for them to just watch that part.
Was there any questions on the supporting documentation you guys got today? For today's meeting?
It's not the supporting documentation, it was phenomenal.
No, it's-
No, I'm just, if there's questions on it, I can also work on that. Because I thought, I mean, there were several documents on this particular item.
No, they were great.
Yeah,
They
no,
were
I thought
great.
they were quite thorough, yeah.
Yeah, but they also didn't address how this was going to be dealt with going forward as far as the monies and whether it was they were separate items or together. At least the memo that we got at first, and it appears that tonight too in the meeting, they looked at combining the two as their approach.
Well, yeah, one appropriation for
Yeah.
two different individuals. One of whom will spend 50% of his time at the police department, the other 50% with the rest of the town.
Right,
Right.
but some of the background Ed talks about is very
Okay,
valuable.
good,
Right. In putting these agendas together, I put them in as best I can see them at the moment because they change with the speed of light. And as you can see, the most important thing is to get the topics before you and then we can vote them. And then the RTM doesn't meet for another week and a half or 2 weeks. So by that time we can adjust it to whatever the final agreement is through the Board of Selectmen and also through, I guess, the Board of Finance. Okay, next item is the transfer of care custody of Oxford School to Darien Board of Education. We've done these in the past. When we have a building committee, we give it back to the Board of Ed. I don't know, education?
It's education primary.
Education, yeah.
But on this one, F&B will also be making comment because we have a difference between what we approved for bonding and what the final cost came in. And also an explanation because right now we're in a little bit of deficit on what we bonded, but we are still awaiting the final from the state on what we're getting back. And when we have that, there will be the closing out of the authorized but unissued. And if we end up with a surplus, that again will move in similar to what we talked about with the reimbursement for the dam into the bond. So we just want to reiterate that based upon my conversation with Jen as what's happening with the bonding part of this.
Can you just confirm, so if there is excess, that will be moved into,
It gets moved into the bond fund, and it can be used for other bonding projects that have
yes.
been approved by the Board of Finance and the RTM.
but it doesn't have to be tied to education or tied to public works or tied
No.
to, just anything that's been authorized already?
Right, and what it
Board of
does is
Finance.
it reduces the
Okay.
amount of bonding that we would
in
do
the future.
for something that we've already authorized.
Yeah, great.
My only question, and I haven't been through this because I haven't sat on rules in this, so the resolution really has to do with, if I'm looking through it very quickly, it doesn't have, I don't see any financial information. It's good information, Jack, I'm not questioning you on that.
Absolutely, and I'm requesting that I want to report on it, and that's all I need to do the report.
Okay, I'm just saying, should that, by looking at it, when it just says care, custody, and control,
The
should we add-
no, you don't need to add anything financial, because all we are doing is care, custody, and control.
Right.
But in this particular case, there's a big significant difference.
So I'm
and
just
that's why
saying,
I'm
maybe,
doing it.
I'm just saying, maybe we need to add something. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying, like, it's misleading by just saying care, custody, and control. That's all. Up for discussion, if nobody agrees with me, that's fine. I just wanted to put it out there.
I think it's very similar to how in the last meeting, Amy provided certain information on the lease and what was going on. And so all we're doing is, I would anticipate somebody to say, what happened with all the other amounts? How are we closing this out? And all I'm doing is providing information on the financial implications as we're transferring this over and what it will take until we finally close out the unissued, authorized but unissued debt. That's all I'm doing.
So
it should take
essentially, it's
about
just
3
explaining the
minutes.
bookkeeping.
Yeah, that's all I'm doing. They're still gonna do the transfer,
Right.
but just so that people fully understand.
Devil's advocate, would you ever just give that part of that discussion once we know what we fully get back?
Yeah, in 2-3 years if I'm still here.
No, okay. If it takes that long, then
Where you going?
we need you now. Thank you. Okay.
All right, so
Need a
any
motion?
other discussion? I'll take a motion to make education primary, F&B secondary, on transfer
I'll
care
make
and
the
custody.
motion.
Michael's in on that one. Second, please. Great, Adele? Yep. Okay, all in favor? Okay, opposed, I see none. Abstentions, I see none. Motion carries. Next is Republican member of the RTM to the Blake Commission. The person only serves until the term, until, you know, the election's over, and then you're on to another, you know, another term and another appointment.
We don't know if there's a meeting that will be between the 21st of October
Yeah,
and Election Day. I can look up Blake, because if there's no meeting, unless we.
Just a note on the appointment term, that this is a Board of Selectmen appointed body, and the term according to the Board of Selectmen is the end of the calendar year 2024.
Okay.
20 what?
24,
24, so they're gonna serve a
Okay.
couple of months.
correct.
So then we just
And we could delay this and go after it when it will be a full term appointment.
Do we have anyone?
No, not so far that I've heard.
It's just, that was
Well,
minor question.
I called, well, no, I don't wanna, I
Seth,
called the, yes.
does Blake need, are they in is there a quorum problem if we wait?
No.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
Is there?
yes.
yeah, but
There's something you have to act on?
I don't know that, I talked to the chair, he didn't seem to think that there was anything that was gonna happen between now and the end of December.
Okay.
Can I have a clarification? How many members are on that committee?
Well, there's two answers to that. It's a 5-person body and there are currently 3.
So, providing all 3 are there, they still have quorum and they can still act, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we don't have a quorum issue.
Well, that's if all 3
Well,
of them can.
that's right, all
providing
3 of them
all three
always
are
have
there.
to show
Right,
up.
right,
That-
right,
the-
right.
That's
No,
where
no,
George has the
that's what I
issue.
said, providing all 3 were
Right,
there.
exactly. That's where his issue comes in.
But it has to be a member of the RTM? not the
Yeah.
public.
But between
Right.
the 3 of
It's
them,
our
they should
member.
know in advance if they can all do it, and if not, they could move the meeting to a different day when the 3
Well,
of
then they
them.
start having more special meetings, so they
But
don't want
we're, I mean, we're talking about
Who's
2 more months.
the other member
So.
that, where does the other member that is not there
to.
come from? Sorry.
So there's
Health,
planning
human
zoning,
services?
Human services.
Human services,
Health and Human
Health and Human
Services.
Services.
yeah.
Thank you, Michael.
So, is that just the Health and Human Services Department?
No, commission, it says.
Commission? Gotcha.
That's what it said, that's what it says.
No, that's what I was asking.
That's
I'm
commission,
not
yeah.
familiar.
It's the 5 bodies. Each body appoints someone to the Board of Selectmen for them to approve.
And it
Five
appears
bodies.
from the website that the Human Services Commission only has 3 members right now. And it's I don't know how many you're supposed to, but it looks like they are looking for members as well.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee it's not 3, so.
Yes, correct.
I have called the district chairs and asked them to put on a press, to see if we couldn't find somebody. And I will confess calling the chair of the Republican Town Committee as well.
We might have somebody in our district, District 1 that I talked to who's a Republican.
Oh, all right. And that, because I was gonna say
She
we
needed
could
more
leave this off the agenda for
She needed
October.
more information, but like, that would be fine. It feels like if there's nothing that has to be done and may not even be having a meeting or anything, we might have many more opportunities, people who are interested after the election,
Yeah.
if we,
So
All we're
my
trying
thought
to
was you could leave it
districts
off October, and then we could pick it up, you know, in December for, you know, for implementation in January, and then they'd have a full term they could serve out.
Well, Patty, if this person's interested, I mean,
Or we could put, you know,
Yeah.
there's also the, if the
yeah, but she could
person's
be
in.
interested in December. Like, that was us trying, listening to what you all are saying. I thought it might be a good fit.
I think it's terrific. If
Yeah.
we can put somebody on, and they could also get re-upped
Yeah.
for the
Yes.
rest of the term afterwards. So you know, if we've got somebody,
Yeah,
I would
okay.
ask you if you would get that person lined up, and then I would ask this body to put it on the agenda for October.
And since it has to go to the Board of Selectmen for approval, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes?
The Board of Selectmen can in fact appoint them for the current calendar year as well as the next calendar
Right.
year at
Oh,
the
yeah?
same
Oh, all
time.
right.
Oh, okay.
well, they'd have to re-up them, yeah.
Yeah, well, they could re-up them in the same meeting, so essentially.
And they?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't matter, that's their issue, not ours.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrific.
So you,
Great news.
I'm not guaranteeing anything, I'm just saying I like to have full district people in my district, and then when you guys are asking for help, it was someone who I thought was a fit. Obviously, it was somebody who qualified as Republican, it was somebody who was on PZ and H, so I thought that was a fit. And who's not been actively working on a subcommittee or anything. And I
That's
thought would be
great.
good, So.
Done, Patty.
The
Good.
question
Great.
was, this person wanted to know more, like where could they gather more information? So
There's
it's
a
mo-
meeting Wednesday night at 5:30, they can go watch George and Suoki.
Who is
Oh,
chair? Is
Soroki's
Mike
on it?
Burke?
George Riley.
George
Oh,
Riley.
George Riley?
George
George
is the
Riley,
chair,
Michael
George, yeah.
Burke, and Suoki. The Blight Review Board is meeting the 9th.
Boy, that's a good.
So this Wednesday at 5:30?
Yep.
And where's it meeting?
Well, it is
Right here usually.
room 119.
Yeah, Patty, that, you said the person was from your district, is that what I heard?
Yes, sir.
Patty, if you want to say something else, just hearing who the three members on that committee is.
It'll be good. Yeah.
It's a committee just to be on because the three of them,
So you said it's George Riley, Mike Burke,
Mike Burke and Sue Oki.
and Sue Oki. Okay.
Those three, you can learn a heck of a lot about this town.
Good
By
leadership.
just
Yeah.
Absolutely.
knowing them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
they
is there a
meet again in-
motion, was there a motion, Seth, to defer
No,
this till October?
No, what I would do in light of Patty's efforts is I would go ahead and leave it on the agenda for October.
Yes.
Okay, and then if
Yeah.
anybody else in your district know of anybody that can be,
So
right,
is
multiple up.
So can I say the moderator just made a decision to defer this until October so that?
No,
There's no
I put it on the
time.
draft warning, which that
No,
will
we're
be
gonna put
the.
it on the agenda.
So we're gonna put it on the agenda for October 23rd,
Okay.
21st.
I'm sure
Okay.
it was 6.
Okay, so this is where you get action on this item because we're moving on to setting the agenda for October 21st. And I gave you a draft. And on it is an update on Great Island. I put it on there as an idea. So if you want it, we can vote it on, or if you think it's not required, we
An
can
update
not.
on Great Island?
Yeah,
I think that's great.
Really? I was
There's
thinking
so
we-
much going on. I think people want to know. There's a lot of negative rumors going on, so I think that when it's
When we're in court on trees. I mean, yeah.
Mark Adeletta, right?
Okay.
Mark is the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and leave that appointing the Republican member. We're going to do that. That's 5. Transfer, care, and custody of Ox Ridge. Acceptance of a van. Appropriation to fund 6 months of salary for a facility coordinator. And I have to, I'll combine those two into one.
Can we also
And I'll
move
do
it
it.
to the first thing on the agenda? Because there's a chance that Ed Gentile is going to be there.
Oh, and yeah, we don't want to drag him out, okay. So we
So
can
we can
put it
just
up
put that first.
before update on Great Island?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have I'll give you this, Michael.
I've got call to order, acceptance of agenda,
Agenda,
approved
approve
minutes, appropriation, and the combined appropriation.
Yep,
Update on Great Island.
yep.
Keep going then, that's where we stop.
Appoint a Republican member,
Yep,
transfer care and custody.
Yep.
Acceptance of a van donation,
yep.
and that's it.
Adjourn.
No, not yet. Can I have a
No, I meant on the agenda, that agenda.
No, I just figured, Jack, you were.
Moving it along, yes.
I'll take a motion to set the
I'll take that
agenda
motion.
for October 21st. Thank you, Susan. Second? Adele? All those in favor? Okay, opposed? I see none, hear none. No abstentions? Okay, item passes. Next item is setting the agenda for the annual meeting of the RTM. And I took most of this from last year. Nominating committee, election of a moderator, acceptance of the agenda, approval of the minutes of October 21. Announcement, just to go through the announcements, how do you do the recording of the votes in the districts, and then the materials that they'll be getting regarding how the meetings run, and committee, so they get their committee preferences as well, and a deadline for completing them. And then the moderator orientation, materials distribution. I threw in here an update on Great Island then. Does that, everybody wanna, okay? All
Sure.
right. Purchase of the fire tanker truck, We can remove that. I can leave it on the agenda. I don't have to publish the agenda for a while yet. We're doing it now because there's no Rules Committee meeting after the October RTM meeting. So, but I can leave that on the agenda here and then pull it if it's not ready. I'll get up there and say, look, folks, we had to do this early, but it's not ready.
Can we also, because when I was reading that again, the district chair or the vice chair, it doesn't need to be the most senior member, like in our district, it's easy, it's Tom. But it doesn't need to be the most senior member because district chairs remain being the district chair until they're either re-upped or a new district chair is there. So unless your district chair is no longer there.
Yeah, but don't you think that that's kind of a nice history of how we've done it?
I don't know, Tom, do you like doing
Longest
it?
standing person who's been there does.
It doesn't bother me.
Doesn't.
I can go either way.
So that it should, that you, but
I
you
put
put
it
one or
in
the
there in
other.
case the chair or the vice chair weren't there.
Okay.
That's all.
I mean, we can give it to you, Tom, we don't.
Oh,
Same as
no.
it's been for the
Except
last
in District
20
3.
Yes.
Okay. Where are we? Update on Great Island, purchase of the tanker truck, election of 2 members to the Board of Ethics. I'm gonna have to do some work to make sure we're ready for that. And then we break out into districts for the chair, vice chair, and the 2 Rules Committee members. Any thoughts other than what we've already talked about, but any other additional? No? All right. Motion then to set the agenda for November 12th. That's a Tuesday, by the way, because of holiday, yeah. So can I have a motion to set the meeting? Okay, Michael says it, and
I'll second.
and second from Jack.
I have a
Further discussion, question, yes?
Given that you're meeting on Tuesday, obviously Monday's Veterans Day, meeting Tuesday, do you still want these for rules by Thursday, their committee preferences? It's a short turnaround time.
Yes.
Wow.
Jack votes yes,
Jack
anybody
does
else
yes.
have a vote?
Because we're still gonna have to, and
Yeah.
everybody knows, we're still gonna have to track people down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I just,
And and it's so much easier now because they can do it electronically.
right, I'm gonna use the
Yes.
same format
Yes.
as the past, but Thursday,
Absolutely.
okay, I just,
Yeah.
in light of the fact that it's a shorter window.
Yeah.
If
And
everyone-
then, is there, since we're gonna have so many new folks, and most folks that we've talked about, that we've gotten recruited and that are gonna be on it, always are thinking Monday. They're thinking the 3rd week of Monday. So we can really promote to the people that it's actually on Tuesday because of Veterans Day.
In what way do you mean?
I just remember a bunch of people missed this meeting years back because it was a Tuesday. Maybe our leader of that district at the time just didn't send out an email reminding people, but like when it's an off thing, I just think the more communication, the better.
Well, the
It's not
packet
gonna
will be emailed
You'll
out.
send it out on Thursday.
Yes.
Can we put a video?
And then you'll
wait,
announce it at the, I'm sorry.
Can we put a video in there that goes Tuesday?
Tuesday, flashing lights.
No, because it's
Yeah.
gonna be like a day after
Like
the
the
election
bar
day, and I'll
sign,
probably
open.
still be counting votes, so, it's gonna be a tight turnaround.
Come on.
We just give people the credit that.
No, of course. I agree.
No, I meant
Susan, I agree
just
with
the
you,
news.
but, you know.
Got the word out.
Well, nobody works on Friday, so
Yeah, so
that's why it's a Thursday.
Tom had a question.
Yes, Tom.
The time change for the RTM meetings, right? Is there a change in time for 7:30? Does that take?
Yes, there is,
After the
yeah.
election?
Yes, I have that in the draft there, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something else that should be,
Yeah,
Let people know.
yeah, right, flashing lights,
Yes.
sparklers, yes,
At least I'll do
7:30.
flashing lights to our district one at least.
There we go. I'll call the district chairs and remind them, first of all, to get the people out.
I know I will.
All right, so can I have a motion then to set the agenda for November 12th?
Here, you have the motion, you have,
Okay,
you got your discussion.
it's town clerk, chair of the nominating committee for the election of the moderator, acceptance of the agenda, approval of the minutes for October 21. Then it's some announcements on how the votes are counted and about getting committee preferences electronically to look for the email. And then moderator just talking about distribution of freedom of information requirements, who the standing committees are, basic information, Robert's Rules. Then update on Great Island, purchase of the fire tanker truck, election of 2 members to the Board of Ethics due to expiring terms, and then the district breakout when the chair, vice chair, and the 2 rules committee members are elected by each district. Okay?
Point of information only because I was thinking of the Yankee score. Did you have the election of the moderator on that agenda?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
That's the second item on the agenda.
Yeah, I thought it would be, but I just didn't
Nope.
hear it, so it
No,
wasn't
no.
ready.
Sorry, no.
Yeah. It says chair nominating committee
Thank you
election.
very much for that, Jack.
Considering you've got 2 options, since it's so far out in advance, did you want to add other business, or do you just want to amend the agenda?
Amend the agenda,
Okay.
because I don't, hopefully, people are not gonna try and, we knew about, the one that we've got here,
Right.
we sort of knew about way ahead of time.
No, if anything comes up, I'm just thinking, if anything comes up, you
No
just want to
problem,
amend it
but they're
then?
gonna have to come forward with the resolutions and,
Yep. Okay.
we'll have plenty of time to do that. And it's not hard to do that as long as you get, as long as we get the backup materials out to everybody and tell them
Yeah.
that you're gonna add an item to the agenda, I don't think we'll have a problem. Okay, so, can I have a motion? Did I get the motion?
You have the motion.
Okay,
Did you have a second?
second, thank you. All those in favor?
I made it and Jack was second.
All right, good. All right. Finally, any other business? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion to adjourn. Yes, Bill. Second?
Joe. Put your hand up.
Joe is seconding. All in favor, please rise.